Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Dhamma Sambuddhassa. Venerable Chief Reverend, Venerable Sir, friends and children in the Dhamma, welcome for our Saturday Dhamma talk. We are continuing 4 Sammappadhānas, 4 Strivings. Last week we explained the suppression of the unarisen, unwholesome status, and also elimination of the arisen, unwholesome states. Wholesome and unwholesome, kusala and akusala. How one should be developing the wholesomeness and eliminating the unwholesomeness within. The effort, the striving that one has to put into practice, put into the cultivation is our aim of explaining in these talks on the right striving. This is the third talk, and today we are focusing on the area where we develop the arisen wholesome states and where we give birth or pave the way for the genesis of the unarisen wholesome states. Prior to that, let's have some understanding on the term wholesome. In Pali, we can find the word for wholesome, kusala, kusala, which is a very meaningful term in that it says ku means bad, something ugly, something non-important or not useful. Ku means simply bad, ugly, unwholesome, and sala is to destroy. So kusala means to destroy the bad, to destroy the unwholesome. What is this bad? The bad for the Nibbana, bad for our liberation, for our joy, bliss, and happiness. So when you destroy, which is bad for our liberation from suffering, what you gain is the resultants of that liberation. So when you destroy what is obstructing your liberation or what is bad for your liberation, the result is bound to arrive at you. You no need to yearn, look for, desire, or long for the goal. What you have to do is to create a chanda. I explained to you this Chanda is a term which has no permanent moral background. With the association with the right or wrong, it becomes moral or immoral. So if you create a longing, a chanda, to achieve something good, then it is in the moral side. So develop a chanda within you to destroy what is bad for your liberation, to destroy what is obstructing your liberation. Then as the byproduct of that destroying, which is bad, which is cool, you gain that liberation. So today, with the explanation of the two types of effort on the side of wholesome, we have to clarify, we have to understand that the wholesome or the kusala in Buddhism is nothing other than the actions, the deeds we engage upon to destroy what is bad for our liberation. If we are not liberated until now, it means bad for the liberation is very much active, powerful, dominant within us. We are not strong enough. We don't have that psychological, ethical strength to destroy which is bad for our own liberation. So kusala is to destroy the bad. Ku, bad. Sala, to destroy. Kusala. Now, when the Buddha explains this cultivation on the striving, the effort on the good side, kusala side, he says, Anupannānaṁ kusalānaṁ dhammānaṁ upādāya chandang janeti vāyamati viriyang ārabhati cittang pagganhāti padahati. A bhikkhu, a practitioner, generates desire, chandang janeti, generates desire. Vayamati, he tries. Viriyang arabhati, arouses energy. Chittang pagganhati, applies his mind. His mind is totally applied on that striving. Padahati, strives. For Anupannānaṁ kusalānaṁ dhammānaṁ upādāya, for the arising of the unarisen wholesome states. Thus, striving is uppannānaṁ kusalānaṁ dhammānaṁ titiya asammosāya bhiyo bhāvāya vepullāya bhavanāya paripurya chandam janeti vāyamati viriyam ārabhati cittam pagganhāti padahati. A bhikkhu generates desire. I would like to repeat those words that the Buddha uses to explain the way that one applies his effort on the goal, on the aspiration, because it is so important for all of us, for anybody who has the determination to achieve a goal, achieve some expectation, some aspiration, to realize them. He has to have that iron within him, that strength within him to achieve that goal, not for the weaklings, but for the strong-minded. Are the achievements of the goals. Higher the goal you aim to achieve, you must have the stronger iron strength within you. So Buddha clarifies very clearly with these words how you can develop such a strength within you. With these words, he says, Chandang Janeti. First, you have to have that desire, that longing within you. Chandang Janeti. If you don't desire, stronger that desire becomes, stronger would be your effort. Day to day, day by day, you put that desire into motion, into action. Then Vayamati, tries. You have to work upon that goal, little by little, step by step. You move there, no matter how small the step is. Every day you take it. Sooner or later you will reach it. Vayamati. Put that effort to take a simple, singular step towards that goal. It is a marathon, one step at a time. So, for any achievement, spiritual or material, worldly or supramundane, for any achievement, there must be the effort, Vayamati, Viryam Arabhati. He initiates. He doesn't give up. No journey would be completed if someone doesn't have the courage to begin it. Viryam Arabhati. Chittang Pagganhati. He applies his mind. He concentrates his total awareness on that goal. Padahati, he has this striving. So, for the unarisen, wholesome states to arise, and also for the arisen, wholesome states to flourish. These arisen, wholesome states should not be neglected. Now we have our skills. If we are to ignore those skills, in one of the suttas, Buddha says, it is like you bring a very polished, bright, clean bronze plate from the market. Now, bronze is something, if you ignore, with the time, it starts getting tarnished, polluted, and decay. So the skills that we arrive to this life are something not to be neglected. They are to be polished. They are to be practiced. So Buddha says, if you have certain set of wholesomeness within, you have to preserve them. You have to protect them. It is your birthright. It is your inheritance. Those wholesome states you have been practicing in your past lives. The wholesomeness you practice never depart from you, even you die. It will reach to your next life. It will come to you like a shadow. Chayava anapayani. Like the shadow. It will follow you. And don't ignore them. That's what Buddha says. He says, those developed wholesomeness within you should be maintained for the titiya, for the continuance, asammosaya, for the non-decay, bhiyo bhavaya, for the increase, vepullaya, expansion, bhavanaya, for the fulfillment. You have to maintain such a non-fulfillment or such an unquenching thirst within you until you achieve such a goal. Now, for example, when Bodhisattva was practicing, we know that he was practicing for 6 years. 6 years he was in the forest, moving from one master to another. All these masters, he found that they are satisfied with their not so higher goals. Some are satisfied with certain developments of mental powers, and they are not putting any effort to go beyond it. What is the difference between the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, and these masters? These masters were satisfied with small goals, small lower level liberations. But the Bodhisattva was not satisfied with them. He was aiming for the top of the spirituality, the Everest of the spirituality, not the small mountains. That's why he could reach there. If the Bodhisattva was to be satisfied, feeling fulfilled with his small achievements, we won't have a Buddha today. A Buddha would not arise in this world. He had an unquenching thirst for the ultimate liberation, not the so-called liberation on the way. The supreme liberation was his gain, was his aim to gain. That's why we got a Buddha today. So 45 years when Buddha was teaching Dhamma, he persuaded his disciples to practice relentlessly, uncompromisingly, to put their effort continuously, repeatedly, at the stake of even their lives, even their very lives, They were committed, they were persuaded to commit on the practice of giving birth, giving the origin to the unarisen wholesome states, and flourishing, developing, continuing on the arisen wholesome states. And when they are practicing this, cultivating on the wholesome side, unknowingly, as a byproduct, they were eliminating the unwholesome, which has already arisen, and they are thwarting, stopping the unarisen unwholesome. I hope you get this. When they are practicing the wholesome, practicing to develop the arisen wholesome and to thwart the unarisen wholesome, and to arise the unarisen wholesome, as a byproduct, unintentional result, they eliminate the arisen unwholesome and thwart arising of the unarisen unwholesome. In short, when they are developing the bright, good, wholesome side of the life, unintentionally they are eliminating, destroying the dark, wrong side of the life. Wrong side of the life is destroyed naturally with the development on the right side of the life. If the room is so dark, you bring a light into it, bring a candle into it. You did not do anything with the darkness. What to do with the darkness? You just brought a light. What happened? You don't find no more darkness. No more darkness is there because you brought a light. More light you bring in, lesser the darkness you find. Lesser the light in the room, more the darkness you will be finding there. So when you cultivate on the wholesome, of course, the unwholesomeness will start diminishing. That's the idea. Now, this wholesomeness is in triple mode. We call them Sila, Samadhi, Panya. We call them Trisiksha, the triple discipline that the entire edifice of Buddhist spirituality is embedded in this triple discipline of Sila, morality, Samadhi, concentration, and Panya, insight. Now, Sila, morality. Basically, there are two categories: mundane or worldly morality, Lokiya Sila, and the supramundane morality, Lokuttara Sila. What is mundane morality? The precepts we observe, you observe, beginning with the 5 precepts. Then comes the 8 precepts. Then the 10 precepts. Lay people can observe them. Then when somebody initiates his monastic life, he becomes a novice. Samanera, novice. Male or female. So the 10 precepts of a novice, Samanera Sila. Then come the higher ordinated monks or nuns precept. We call it Upasampada Sila. These are the categories, major categories of Sila, morality, we can find in Buddhism. Sila, creating the psychological background where one can develop his concentration and wisdom. This is the background. This is the foundation of spiritual life. Now the Sila which have been arisen are the Sila that you have observed and preserved. If you have observed the 5 precepts and preserving it, that is the Sila which has arisen, upadha, to you. Now what you have to do? Work hard upon it. No matter what, you preserve it. 5 precepts. Every day at night, prior to sleep, you can check. Today, did I tell a lie? Did I harm anyone physically, verbally? Did I get drunk? Did I misbehave on my sensual pleasures? Being selfish? Can have some reflection and check whether I have preserved my precepts. 5 precepts. That is the precept which has arisen for you. That is the precept you have to maintain. If even 5 precepts haven't arisen for you, so it means none of the precepts, none of the Sila has arisen for you. You have to work. You have to understand the value of observing precepts, the validity in preserving precepts. Then take a step to observe precepts and preserve them. If someone were to observe the Upasampada Sila, the precepts of a higher ordinated monk or a nun, this Upasampada Sila contains all the rest of the precepts. 5 precepts, 8, 10 precepts of a novice. All the precepts are contained in the Upasampada Sila. The high ordinated monks or a nun's Sila. So for him, all the rest of the precepts are arisen for him. What he has to do is preserve them, protect them, continue to maintain them. So the precepts someone has observed and preserving are the precepts that have been arisen for him. Beginning with the Panchasila, 5 precepts, he can move on to the higher precepts in this hierarchy. And if someone were to observe and preserve the Upasampada Sila, high ordinated Sila, he is someone who has gone into all the types of precepts. These are the mundane precepts. Precepts belong to the world. Precepts belong to the living beings in the mundane level. Now, what are the supramundane precepts? They are the precepts, you can say, in the eightfold noble path. Samma vacha, right speech. Samma kammanta, right action. And samma ajiva, right livelihood. Now, if someone is to live upon these right speech, right action, right livelihood, again he is covering up the entire teachings of Sila in the Buddha's dispensation. He is covering up all the precepts belong to 5, 8, 10 precepts of a novice and a fully ordained monk. He is entirely covering them. And what is the difference between these mundane precepts and the supramundane precepts? The difference is mundane precepts, one day you observe, another day you forgot to preserve. Yeah. Or in the future, for any reason, you forget to preserve these precepts and the life is gone into something kind of a immoral living. So the morality is not so sure in the mundane level. Today you can be so moral and tomorrow not so much. In the future, you can be changed into a completely different person. Possibility is there. So the mundane level of morality has a fragile kind of nature. But in the supramundane level, the morality you observe is something original, something never changing. Because that morality is arisen in you based on the elimination of defilements. When you eliminate the defilements, naturally, you have no tendency for unwholesome deeds. You have no any inclination to do wrong because you don't have the roots there. The roots are being uprooted. The roots of unwholesome greed, hatred, delusion are being uprooted. As much you uproot them, that much you will be naturally moral. So life after life, just like the Bodhisattva. When we read the birth stories, Jataka stories of the Bodhisattva, we can find he was being born in all sorts of forms, human, animal, divine. And in none of the lives, he was ready to commit killing, stealing, lying. Because naturally, the tendency to kill is not there within him. So he is not required to observe any precepts of non-killing. Because the natural tendency is not to kill. Now, our natural tendency is not so trustworthy like that. We can kill. Though not we are doing that today. We are not killing today, but there's a possibility. For any reason, the tendency to kill is there. The killer is living in us. They are being suppressed since we were brought up in a very good environment with the right parents, with the teaching of right and wrong. They brought us up. So we are afraid of repercussions, the resultants. So we avoid killing at any cost. But who knows? There's a possibility. Even it doesn't happen in this life, it may happen in the next life with the wrong birth, to wrong place, to wrong environment. The killer can wake up. The liar can wake up. The deceiver can wake up. The criminal can wake up. Now it is in the mode of dormant, asleep. Those unwholesome tendencies are in the mode of kind of dormant, asleep, because we have been suppressing them. Therefore, the precepts that we observe, the moral precepts, though they are valuable, that morality is not so permanent within us. The permanency happens with the elimination of the tendencies, the asavas, the latent tendencies within us. With the elimination of those defilements only, the supramundane morality can occur within us, not in any other way. So the sila that has arisen in you and the unarisen in you, and these two types of sila, the sila in the worldly, mundane level, and the sila in the supramundane level is what we explained. Then we come to the samadhi, concentration. Now, concentration also twofold, as mundane level concentration and supramundane level concentration. Right? Before that, it is better we understand the triple mode of concentration. Kama vachara samadhi. Whatever concentration you gain, being stuck, while stuck in the realms of sense pleasures, for example, you can practice at home. There is a certain concentration is there. And that concentration is there even without practicing. When we are doing something with so much of attention, awareness, certain percentage of concentration is there. Higher the percentage of concentration within us, faster we learn, faster we memorize, faster we get educated, faster we develop in our educations. So the concentration is there. So that concentration has nothing to do with nibbana or any kind of wholesome side of the life. That concentration is kama vachara concentration. The serenity or the concentration belong to the realms of sensual pleasures. Then comes the rupa vachara samadhi. Concentration belong to the fine material realms. Then the arupa vachara samadhi. Concentration belong to immaterial realms. Again, this concentration is threefold with the hierarchy of the development. First one is parikhamma samadhi, preliminary development, preliminary concentration. That is when you start practicing, meditation, your absorption is on the way. So it is something on the way to achieve. We call it parikamma samadhi, on the way to gain. Not there with you now, it is on the way. Parikamma samadhi, preliminary concentration. Then comes the upachara samadhi, access concentration. It means the concentration is in the neighborhood. Your mind is getting established now, closer to the absorption, closer to the samadhi. It's in the neighborhood. It is in the vicinity. So we call it parikamma upachara samadhi. Next one is appana samadhi, concentration with the absorption. Absorption concentration, we can call it. Upachara samadhi. Right? So Buddha says parikamma samadhi, preliminary concentration, and upachara samadhi, access concentration, belong to the realms of sense pleasures. It belongs to this world. Then the appana samadhi, absorption, belong to either fine material or immaterial concentration, immaterial realms of living. Yeah. So appana samadhi, the absorption, once you are absorbed in that object, it either belong to the fine material, rupavachara, or immaterial. It doesn't belong to the sense pleasures anymore. As long as you are not absorbed in that object of meditation, for example, breathing, as long as you are practicing on this absorption, you belong to the realms of sensual pleasures. So kamavachara samadhi. But once you are absorbed, you are belonging to the fine material and immaterial realms of concentration. Now, the second category is lokuttara samadhi, the supramundane concentration. That concentration, it is to be found in the Eightfold Noble Path with the three factors, which is Samma Vayama, right effort, Samma Sati, right mindfulness, and Samma Samadhi, right concentration. These triple factors represent the Samadhi, the serenity in the supramundane path. Now you can see Samma Sati, right awareness, Samma Samadhi, right concentration is together there. It means with the right concentration, you achieve certain kind of concentration. With the right practice on the concentration, after that achievement of the concentration, you observe the factors of these concentration in the eyes of impermanent, misery, and non-self. When you observe these factors of your absorption, of your concentration, then there is a certain wisdom is applied. Now, together with the wisdom, the concentration exits. That concentration is what do we call the supramundane concentration. So, in our past lives, we may have been practicing the meditation. If we have been practicing, whatever development we had in our past lives, That development is our concentration, the wholesomeness of concentration that has arisen in us. We do not know. We do not know what kind of development we have in our being based on our past practices. Unless and until we enter into meditation, we do not know whether we have been meditating or not. That's why it is so important for us to have some access into these practices. See whether you can develop in the meditation or not. It is something completely wasteful if you do not give a try to meditate. Many Buddhists are just confined into either morality, the sila, reading, learning, discussing the Dhamma, dana, generosity, many of them. But meditation is something very rarely people give any priority, give any attention. Generosity, they are naturally in the preference with the advices, with the guidelines of their parents, social backgrounds. They can do dana. The generosity to practice is something easy for them. But not for meditation. But who knows? You may have been practicing in your past lives. You have that knack of getting into concentration within you. But if you are not putting any effort to initiate the practice, then of course it is like, as the Buddha says, you brought a skill to this life, but you let it waste away. Yeah. So if somebody has this skill in developing concentration, that is the upada, arisen, wholesome factor of concentration within him. What he has to do? Work upon it. Work on it to develop further. And of course, if somebody has not been practicing in their past lives, he may have to struggle to develop that concentration. For him, he has to work hard. But the beautiful thing is, in meditation, nobody is to get disappointed. Nobody will ever get frustrated with the meditation. Some or other result will be there. So, for someone who has no accumulated wholesome energy of meditation, what he has to do is to initiate his development in meditation, and he is taking a step towards the benefits of the meditation. Yeah. So samadhi is the second factor in the development of the unarisen wholesomeness and the flourishing of the wholesomeness. The third one is Panya, the wisdom. Nowadays, in traditional countries, traditional Buddhist countries, we have seen that people have these weird practices to develop wisdom. Yeah, they think some offerings can give them wisdom. They think some kind of rituals can grant them wisdom. I can say it is just wasting their energy and time for useless and unnecessary methods. The way of developing wisdom is just to practice on awareness, mindfulness, nothing else. That awareness and mindfulness is the only way to create an understanding, comprehension of the present moment as it is. The present moment to realize is to happen not with any kind of puja, offering or ritual, but with the cultivation of awareness. That is why Vipassana is called the insight meditation. Insight is developing with Vipassana. That insight is to understand, comprehend the reality as it is. In the Eightfold Noble Path, the practicing of insight, development of insight is limited to two terms of Sammaditthi, right view, and Samma Sankappa, right thoughts. Of course, right view and right thoughts are always go hand in hand, go together. Now, right view and right thoughts arise in the person who is capable of observing the present moment as it fundamentally, truly is. Not as somebody else taught to you, not as any conceptually created background, but as it really is seen by you. Buddha says, any moment, if it is seen as it actually is, has three factors, three phenomena, three qualities. They are impermanent, anicca. If we hold on to that impermanent, dukkha, misery, and there is no self, or there is no my or I, but just an incident. It is impermanent, it is misery, and it is non-self. These are the true characteristics in any given moment for anyone. Understanding that true nature in that given moment is the arising of wisdom, belong to supra-mundane. That wisdom is contained with right view, sammaditthi, and right concepts, right thinking, samma sankappa. He is to develop this wisdom continuously, repeatedly. One day, that wisdom He is bound to liberate that person. This is the wholesomeness. This is the wholesomeness that one should strive to flourish. If it has been arisen already in him, this is the wisdom one should strive to give birth, create within, if it is not already existing within him. And with the arising of this wholesomeness, unknowingly, unintentionally, he is eliminating the arisen unwholesomeness and stopping the arising of unarisen unwholesomeness. The bad is naturally destroyed with the rising of good. So this is the conclusion of the 4 strivings, 4 Sammappadhānas, 4 efforts, 4 right efforts. They are the effort, singular virtue, directed for 4 cultivations, 4 types of developments. The effort to stop the arising of the unarisen bad. The effort to destroy the arisen bad. The effort to arise the unarisen good. The effort to flourish, to develop the arisen good. 4 Sammappadhānas. With this, we finish one of the important group of Sattis Bodhipakkhya Dhamma, 37 enlightenment factors of Nibbana. So these groups of striving is supporting for the rest of the virtues to arise, to flourish, to develop, to lead one to Nibbana. With that, we conclude this talk. Let's share the merits, the happiness by listening to the Dhamma. It is our merit, the happiness. With the invisible beings of ours, our departed ones, invisible to us, unknown to us, may they be shared with these merits. The divine beings are invisible to us. May they be shared with these merits, with these aspirations. Let's share. Let's share this. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu loka sasanam. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu loka sasanam. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu loka sasanam. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñātinang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Blessings for you. Dukkha roga bhaya vera soka sabbe upaddava अनेकान्तरायापि विनश्यन्तु च तेजसा जय सिद्धि धनं लाभं सत्यभाग्यं सुखं बलं श्रियायु च वन्नो च भोगं बुद्धि च यशवा ततवसा च आयु च जीवसिद्धि भवन्तु ते आयुरारोग्य सम्पत्ति सर्ग सम्पत्तिमेव च अतो निब्बान सम्पत्ति इमिनाते समिञ्जतु साधु साधु